Checking 1 2 1 2. Checking 1 2. Yes, sir. We are live once again. Our Savage stocks, how are they doing today? Are they having a great day? Is the overall market having a great day? Is everything bullish, bearish? What's going on? You know, we have some preliminary numbers out, right? And they're all telling us that something is going on, and it's not necessarily something that we like. Let me just fix my camera a bit here. All right. And then let's move this and straighten it out a bit. Let me move this back some. And we should be golden. All right. Little bears out there. It's out to play. Yeah. My fellow friends, how are we doing today? I hope we're doing well. I hope people are definitely taking advantage of the opportunity that just reared its head out there, and definitely are making money today, right? That's the whole point of that's the whole reason why we trade. That's the whole reason why we have our money in the stock market. And yes, some of the stocks in different sectors are taking a hit today, but for the most part, even though it's doom and gloom everywhere, right? Um, what is the market really doing? Like how are we really doing, right? So we're gonna talk about this meeting, Jackson Hole, right, happening in Wyoming in the next few days. We're gonna talk about Target and their numbers. I think Walmart came out with some numbers. Costco came out with numbers. And obviously the PPI last week. What is the CPI going to look like in the future? Lots going on this morning, right? And you're hearing from all these talking heads on CNBC, on Fox News Channel, Fox Business Network, and other Bloomberg TVs. I think Charles Schwab TV now. What is really going on, right? And they're telling you that there's doom and gloom, right? We are now. They're talking. We're in bearish territory, right? Like the market has tanked 10% or 15%, right? But is it? I mean, has it? What has really happened, right? I mean, the sector that is really selling off a bit is tech. I mean, it's we can see that, right? But if you look, you take a step back, right? And you look at like what's really going on, and you look at the numbers. You look at the S&P 500, right? It's trading at 6,380 points. It's down half a point. You look at the Dow 30. It's literally up like 0.03%. NASDAQ is down not even a point yet. Russell 2000, half a point. The VIX is up a bit, right? That's our uncertainty gauge. Gold is up almost a point, but I mean that's what's going on, guys. These let me talk you off of that ledge, right? Don't slice your wrist just yet, guys. There's so much opportunity out there right now. It's a nothing burger, man. It's just, if I did learn one thing from Uncle Bruce is that, obviously news is sensationalized, right? But that doesn't hold to just the everyday news networks, right? This is like for like the economic news as well. Yes, we have some numbers that are down, 5% or more. I get it, right? But we have been trading at 52-week highs. What do you think is going to happen? I mean, we have to have a retracement, right? I mean, those are actually healthy for the market. And I mean, this is why we write covered calls. Last week, I don't know if you guys remember, but you guys can look at exactly a week ago, um, or Monday, last Monday, right? I was telling people that were into Palantir, that I have been actually pounding the table on Palantir for like over a year now. When it was in the $8, $10 range, I was telling people to please buy it. $20, $25, I was telling people you could buy it or do cash secure puts, but this stock is going up. And so now it was sitting at like 170, 180 bucks, right? And 52-week highs. And then, I was telling people like when do you sell, right? Like the market doesn't really tell you when to sell. They don't tell you, this stock, you should sell it now. They'll tell you to hold, but they won't tell you to sell. But so when do you sell, right? And I was asking people, like, what do you think about Palantir? You're holding Palantir. You bought it at 10, 20 bucks, 30 bucks. It's almost 200. What is your number? What are you waiting for? And I know people personally, right, that are waiting. They were waiting for $200 to sell. And I would tell them, I'm like, okay, great. Sell $200 covered calls out to January. And I think when it was in like the 180 area, and I was saying, if you're really waiting for $200, sell it now in the future. That's what what better argument is there for covered calls than you've held the stock for a while, it's ran, you're making money, and people get greedy, right? But anyway, so I tell these people, I'm like, you want to sell for 200, sell covered call for 200 bucks. They could have brought in $1,600-$1,800 on those calls. It's just dumbfounding now. And now they're looking at how it's down, right? And they're like, Savage, man, I should have listened to you. And it's like, at some point, it's laughable, that I hear people say I should have listened to you, because Palantir it actually touched $143 this morning, right? At 7:30, there was a sell-off, and it hit $143 today. Imagine what are those $200 covered calls on Palantir? What are they going for today? Let's see what the low of the day was, right? So we go to $200, 620. That was the low of the day for Palantir. $200 covered calls expiring January 16, 2026. So somebody in the world of options, if you sold them at 18 bucks, you would have made 66%, right? So you would have made 1,200 bucks like that. Imagine you're holding, 100 shares, or I'm sorry, 1,000 shares of Palantir, and you would have sold 10 of those. You would have said, Savage, you know what, dude? I've been holding Palantir for a while. I have 2,000 shares. I'm going to sell 1,000 shares for $200 each in the future. You man, and worst case scenario, January 16th, 2026, you get a big fat $200,000 paycheck in your account. That is 1/5 of $1,000,000. You could have gotten that deposited into your bank account, into your brokerage account, which then you could do whatever you want with. You could pay off your house with that money. I mean, that is life-changing money on 10 contracts of Palantir. And so anyways, and now I got this guy texting me saying, shit, he's literally quoted, to quote him, I feel sick to my stomach. And I'm just laughing, and I'm like, dude, you can lead a horse to water, right? But I mean, could have, should have, would have. What are you gonna do? Good morning. Good morning. I just have to start with that anecdote because it's funny how 2020, right? Like hindsight is always 2020, right? But it's like, gosh, like you could have really gotten paid with Palantir. Anyways, good morning. I am the Savage of Wall Street. Back at it again. It's 8:30 8:42 a.m. now here in West Coast California time, right? And welcome, my friends from all over the world. I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning. I hope you guys are taking advantage of all this, you know, what is a FUD that's out there, the fear, uncertainty, and doubt that everyone is talking about. The skies are falling. We're having rotations, and automatically now, how far are we going to go? Like, the Dow, like it's at 44,800 or 44,600. Like, it's still like at record highs, right? And all these other companies. I mean, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta. I think Meta has had its two worst days since like April. Like what happened in April? Yeah, but like what happened in April doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen now, right? So unless those tariffs hit, in which case we're going to talk about that in a little bit, right? But remember, the tariffs don't hit until they didn't hit until August 6th, and we have PPI, and PPI did not account for those tariffs just yet because PPI was talking about July, not August just yet. We're going to talk about August in September. So we yet to see how that is going to play out. But welcome, my friends. Welcome. Thank you for watching me. Thank you from wherever you are in the world for tuning in. We're going to talk the markets. My wonderful friend is back, and he's just rearing his head because he wants some honey. He wants some honey, and he's not going to be denied. Wherever he has to dig, wherever he wants to go, wherever he's going to do it. And that's us, man. Wherever this market tells us to go, that's where we're going. We're going to take advantage of all that honey that's out there, that honey pot. We're just trying to make some dough. What do we got here? We got Mando number 5 in the house with the number 1 little thumbs up, which is great. Awesome. Thank you, Mando. He's saying hi, y'all. Hector is in the house saying good morning. SFW, that is Savage of Wall Street, that is moi. Good morning, my friend. CKT is saying, let's make money today. Jay Gill is saying, hey, Savage, good morning. Oh, Susan Shops is in the house. Good morning, Susan. How are you? Jay Gill is saying, my Palantir call credit spreads are paying off today. And that's why we're here. We're just making money, my friend. And right now will be great for like maybe put credit spreads because it seems like it's going to recover a bit, but it's probably going to go back down. So, tread lightly. Free Range is saying, cook it up, Savage. JJ in the house saying, now yo. Kent's mom is in the house once again. Kent's mom, thank you for watching me. I appreciate you very, very much. Charlie C2 is saying, good morning, all of y'all. Ray Sherlock is saying the leading a horse to water analogy is very real for the option writing discussion. It's because people are so used to losing that option writing doesn't add up. I was one of those people myself, and now I've seen the light, so I'm making money. And I added that last bit because that's probably how he feels. Charlie C2 is in the hizzy, and Ray Sherlock is saying today, there is so many discounts, I don't know where to put my cash. To which I would say, don't spend all your money just yet, my friend. Take. I mean, obviously, if you see nice opportunity somewhere, a stock is down 15, 20%, you've been eyeing, not a bad idea to go in and do some cash secure puts on it, but don't go to don't go to like September. Go to like October, November, January, because something tells me, I mean, you need protection to the downside, right? So go 1 or 2 strikes lower than where it is now, that is down 15, 20%. Just because, momentum is down in the market, right? Everything is telling us that sentiment is down. And the stocks don't only go up, they also go down. I mean, look at the jargon that's being spit out by all these talking heads in the financial market television shows, right? They're saying that we're in a downturn and there's bearish momentum, that we're oversold, and so we are rotating maybe in the market. I mean, there's so many things that they're talking about, but they're not really talking about the cost, right? They're talking sickness, but not what caused the sickness, right? And then you just have to look at the numbers that are coming out. Um, Target released their numbers this morning, right? And what are they saying? Well, people are not spending as much money. Yes, they made a decision to get kind of political in a way, and you had progressives and left-leaning folks, Democrat folks, just stopped shopping there. They just decided to to take their money elsewhere, right? And so Target, suffered a nice dent. And then you had just the overall sentiment of the economy, which is saying, hey, people don't have that much discretionary spending anymore, right? Um, Layoffs are at a high to that level of the pandemic, right? That's pretty scary if you think about it, because I mean, during the pandemic, everybody was getting laid off. And so that just tells you where we are. I don't think we're really hearing about unemployment as much as we should. And that's kind of one of the reasons, right? Which people aren't spending as much because people don't have as much money. Inflation is up, obviously. Costco came out with the numbers, same thing. People are just not spending anymore. Walmart, told us the same thing. People are deciding to just not spend as much money because they're nervous about what's to come, right? So they're saving money, which is really weird because banks are telling us and credit card companies are telling us that people are putting more groceries on their credit card than ever before. People are actually taking out loans so that they can pay for everyday items like groceries, and so that's that's where we're going. I mean, that's where we are, right? But like, I think there's going to be more of that, and the numbers are they're telling us that companies are coming out with quarter earnings, and they're telling us just that forward guidance is going to be lower. The writing is on the wall, but people just refuse to like really listen. They're hearing, but they're not really listening to what these numbers are saying. And so um, momentum is down. It was a matter of time. We were at 52-week highs. With the market, we were hitting all-time highs on some sectors. And, we had this AI-driven boom, right? I've been saying for months we were frothy, and some people were saying, "Are we really frothy though? Like we have such a great economy." And it's just like, do we really have a great economy, or is this an economy that's just working for like some people, but not like everyday Americans, right? Like, what percentage of people are actually seeing more money this year, right? And overall, in the population, um, how many of those people are having are being hit at a bigger pace than those at the top, right? Like, we know that that multimillionaires and billionaires are doing well, right? But like, how are you guys doing? How is your neighbors? How are your neighbors doing? Are they talking about cutting back on expenses? I mean, staycations are up. I think TripAdvisor and Google Flights did some. Uh, they did some studies, and they were asking people, what are you going to do for the year? Like, what are you looking at as far as vacations? What are your plans? And an overwhelming number of people were saying, we're staying put. We're going to go to the park a lot more this summer or for vacation. Are you guys going to travel across the country? People were saying, no, we're actually going to stay put. And then we're going to go and look at, local um, events that are going to happen. So, that right there is telling you that, we are off, right? Like I said, Meta is on track to have its worst day since April, right? I think Meta was down for the last 2 days massively, and like I think it's down today. So what happened in April? Do you guys remember what happened in April when we had that huge sell-off? Now, I'm not saying we're going to have a huge sell-off like that of April. That was 52-week lows, right? But it's worth knowing that so that you can make a plan. And that's my point right now is you guys have to have a plan. This is how do we trade this market, right? It seems like it was up and now we're down and people are saying that it's going to be really bad. And, Palantir's 143 bucks, it's 148 right now, but, um, I mean, is it going to stay at 148? Is it going to go down more? Um, this is just like the cannery in the coal mine, right? People also they got to take profits. Yeah, there was a nice little sell-off yesterday, and I told people, these are companies that are preparing for news from Jackson Hole, in Wyoming, right? And they're trying to raise some capital so that based on what we hear, and they're preparing for no rate cut in September. Um, they're preparing for a nice little drop, and then they're going to take that money, and buy some cheap stock, which is what I am, what I am going to do myself. Right? It's kind of why I've been, doing a lot of cash secure puts. This is why I have some money on the side because I was waiting for a nice little sell off, right? And I think that tomorrow we may have a little bit of a green day, and it's going to be probably trading like just above green for the whole day. It's going to be flat. And I think Friday, in anticipation of Jackson Hole, we may see some green at first, and then we're going to have a dip once Rugman starts speaking, right? So, I mean, these are things that happen, guys. These are things that happen. These are normal things. It's healthy for the market to have a nice little pullback. We haven't had a correction yet. Correction is something that's like 10-15%, of the market goes down. Like I'm talking about completely, not just like just a few stocks in certain sectors. Because right now is the tech sector that's getting hit, right? But everything else is kind of like down 1%, 2%, Um, if there's a drop of like 10%, 15%, even 20%, right? Then that's a healthy, nice little flush. I'm hoping for something like that so that I can then say, you know what? I'm backing up the truck. And I'm for sure gonna get some C3.ai. SoFi, SoFi, I read somebody say that they're gonna go and back up the truck and buy some SoFi today. And I'm just like, you know what? Don't back up the truck just yet, my friend. SoFi was down to 2026, somewhere around there this morning. I see SoFi going to 16. I in some case I see it going to 13, but that doesn't mean it'll happen, right? It's just when the stocks trade, right, and they are kind of filling certain gaps, they have to fill those gaps. And sometimes there's like little niches that they don't fill. They got to come back and fill those gaps for the most part. Not always, right? But there's gaps that need to be filled, and I see some gaps in 13, 14 land. So would that happen? I mean, I don't know. I'm hoping it does because I will definitely back up the truck then, right? But I have enough SoFi. I don't mind adding more. So would writing $20 cash secure puts be out of the question on SoFi if it goes down to like 20, 19 bucks? Absolutely not. Right? I would personally write some $20 cash secure puts out to 2027. All right. And going out to 2027 is okay with me. Let's see here. January 2027. Those cash secure puts right now are going for $4.30. If I can get $6 or $7 for those, beautiful. I totally will. trust me, that is 35%. If I can get 35% to 40% back of my on my original collateral money, that to me is a win. Especially in a stock like SoFi, they keep killing earnings, and they keep crushing numbers left and right. So that's what I'm looking at. That's something that I'm looking forward to, is seeing SoFi scale back to 19, 18, 17 bucks, 16 bucks even. I mean, just one can dream, right? I mean, those holes got to fill. Those gaps have to fill. AI is at 1667 this morning, right? It seems like if you guys look at your stocks, and you guys look at the 2 hour, um, the way it's trading for the last 2 hours, and you look at the graph, you guys will see that they're all similar. It's a sell-off that's created by algos. So it's make of that what you will, right? Somebody's raising cash, but why are they raising cash? And I think a lot of retail has gone in and have bought at the low today, maybe a little higher than that. And I mean, cash secure puts, that's why we have those. That's why we have those. You see something drop suddenly 15%, 10%, cash secure put it, right? And then go down one or two strike zones out in time so you can get a big chunk, so that you're protected, right? So if somebody came in for some cheapies today, I think they got lucky. And I think some people may have done their due diligence, and they could jump out right now, because this market, I think, is going down a bit more. I mean, I'm pretty bearish on it right now, but you know what? The day's still young. It's only been open for 2.5 hours, the market, right? So let's see what happens, man. All right, what do we got here? Charlie C2 saying number 9. Today there's so many discounts, I don't know where to put my cash, says Ray Sherlock. Well, I mean, AI's at 16 bucks. Unity's at 35. RX is 480. So, right now, RX, man, listen, you sell some October $5 cash secure puts and you bring in 80 cents, I think you're winning. So $5 cash secure puts for 80 cents, you're essentially buying the stock at 420. What is wrong with that? It's the implied volatility is 91, 92%. That's beautiful. 90 to 100% is great. You could do fours if you wanted, and just bring in some free money. So $4 cash secure puts, you get, ask for 30 cents. See if it fills. It's just free money. Let's see here. Rivian is under 12 bucks, man. I mean, Rivian's a really good company. I don't know if you guys are seeing many Rivians on the road, but I'm seeing a ridiculous amount of Rivians around where I live. And that's always good, because I get the same feel from Rivian as I did like in 2015, 2014, when I was seeing Teslas kind of in the city. And I'm very excited to see where they take it. $12 cash secure puts for October 17th on Rivian are going for 95 cents right now. That's for 93 cents right now. That's a good buy, man. You're basically buying Rivian like at 11.05, 07. Why not? It's a good company, and you're gonna make some real money. My personal opinion, of course, right? This is not financial advice, but again, you want to go where opportunity is. I think we're down to the downside. I think there's still a lot more room to the downside, to the point where I haven't even sold my 600 shares of SOXS, and I was up 8.9% today, and I'm still holding, because I think, and that just for those of you that don't know SOXS, it is a 3x leveraged stock, daily semiconductor bear. So it's kind of like it's one of those stocks that is that it trades inverse to an equity, which in this case would be semiconductors, right? So whenever Nvidia goes down, the SOXS goes up, and right now it's near 52-week lows. So I'm going to leave it alone because I think Friday I'm going to get a gift. But again, on this one, I'm trying to time the market. So am I going to get my ass handed to me? I don't know. But just based on things, the way they have happened up to this point, right? And just like the overall sentiment, everything that the market is telling us, right? The stocks are telling us what's going on. Um, and these are shares, like I own these. So like there is no schedule, which is why I don't, I tell people not to do calls or puts, at least buying them, right? Because time shrinks, and every day that goes by, those shrink some more. My shares never shrink; they'll stay there. I bought them at a specific price point. I have an average, and at this point, I'm gonna wait, and I want to see where it goes, because I think Nvidia is gonna go back down to like 140, 130, right? There's been a sell-off in tech, yes, but the big caps have not really taken a hit. I think Meta did. Google hasn't really taken a hit. Microsoft hasn't really taken a hit. Amazon hasn't really taken a hit. I'm going to wait and see, because right now the sell-offs have been in like the mid caps and the small caps, right? The Russell 2000 is taking a little hit. But I think that there's more room to the downside in these big cap stocks. And that's what I'm waiting on, right? Um, uh, Given that people today are not as over leveraged on big caps as they were earlier on, because there was that sector rotation where people took money out of those to put into like these AI driven securities, right? So we'll see what happens. I'm very, very interested to see what happens on Friday, as I am sure you guys are as well. What we got here? Ryan, it's Ryan is in the house. What's going on, Ryan? Wrote some put spreads on SoFi for 2027 from Uncle Bruce, $22 for 185. I'll take the 50% plus for an annual return. Thank you. Can I have another? I think that's actually a good one. I put spread on SoFi 25, 22. Not terrible at all, my friends. Not terrible at all. John Harpster is in the house saying, good morning, everybody. John Harpster, how are you, my friend? Good morning. Mike Edgar Rizal is in the house saying, good morning, all. What is up, Mike? Mixture Premium off the option is in the house saying, let's go. Nothing like a tasty dip, of course. Nothing like it, my friend. Makizi 510able saying, thanks for the info, Savage from Evan. Oh, what up, my brother? How you doing, bro? I hope you're doing well, man. Nice to see you around, brother, for sure. I know SoFi is treating you well. So, this is somebody that I was telling about SoFi when SoFi was like $6. And, he took a position. He was like, you know what? I'm going to take a little position here and there and see what the market gives me and just keep adding. And now he's probably sitting pretty on a couple of $1,000. SoFi is not a bad stock to buy at all. I think I was telling him about Palantir when it was like $20 too. So, this is what happens, man. People make money, and I like it. I love hearing when people tell me, hey, man, I was able to pay my rent because, that those stocks you told me about, I sold them, even if they didn't do covered calls, right? And they made money. That's what it's all about. Right? It's all about just making money and taking advantage of opportunity. That's pretty much it. So what do we got here? GME is down 22.52 at this point. It's down like 1.5%, 1.3%. Nothing crazy. My $23 calls that I sold that expired September are down 6% today, and those are gonna keep going down, man. I'm done waiting for GameStop to do whatever it is that it wants to do. At this point, I'm just doing what I want to do, which is I'm going to sell covered calls on GameStop, $23 covered calls out to the next month, every month. And I'm going to also sell $23 cash secure puts out 2 months so that I can take big chunks, right? And so I'm going to dare it to stay and trade at this channel as long as it wants. Because if it runs, guess what? My cash secure puts are going to be worth nothing. And if it happens to backtrack, guess what? My covered calls are going to be worth a lot more money. So yeah, well, I mean, for me, they're going to be a lot less money for whoever bought them. But that's what I'm doing. Uh, Archer Aviation in the house, 1.83% down today. And if you were looking at some discounts, I think this puppy in the last, let's see here, in the last month, Archer is down 30%. Okay, now they've written some contracts with the government, and I think they're marinating on some other contracts at this point. But it is down to 30% for the last month. Today would not be a terrible day to write some January cash secure, some October. Let's see October. Some $9 cash secure puts and ask for 95 cents. Try to stink it. It's at 90.91 right now. So just, if it drops a little more this morning, I don't think it's a terrible thing to ask for 95 cents. If you want to get filled because you really want to buy Archer Aviation, sell some $9 at, it's recovering now. So now you would have to go to like 90, 89. So basically, you're buying the stock a little over $8. Nothing wrong with that at all, because this is a stock that once things are said and done, it's going to probably go up to like the $15, $20 area, right? SMCI is down, baby. It was down to around 41 bucks. Now, Super Microcomputer, it's one of those that it's such a wonderful stock to write covered calls on because the premiums are so juicy. I personally have some $50 covered calls expiring in January 2027, and I have some $45 covered calls. The 50s I received 1664, and I am up 38.8% on those. So I'm up 642 bucks per call. Let's see. And the $45 calls that I sold for $18.50 each, those are $11.80 right now. So yeah, up a couple of $1,000. That's how you do it, man. That's how you do it. It's just whenever you see that a stock runs so fast, so hot, you say, you know what? My average is in the 20s. I'm selling for twice more than what I got it at. That's a home run. And guess what? I'm taking almost my whole cost basis, like 75% to 80% of my cost basis of this stock now. So these covered calls are basically house money. Do you understand? Worst case scenario, for every contract that I sold that is $45, I'm getting $4,500 put into my account on January 2027. And on the 50s, I'm getting $5,000 per contract into my account. And I've already received $18.50 or 18 bucks per contract already. That's $1,800 per contract and $1,600 per contract for the 50s. What is wrong with that? What did I use that money for? Everything else. I'm taking my little trips that you guys know I like to take. I'm paying for medical bills because my daughter broke her arm, right? So I have to pay deductibles and portions of it. I am able to buy appliances for the house. We new TVs, a new bed, clothing for my children, school supplies. I'm able to take my wife to a nice restaurant. I'm able to take my family out on nice little outings. I use it for everything else. I pay bills. We pay the mortgage. I mean, that's what you use this money for. You make it real, and you make it to alleviate your financial stressors. That's why we sell covered calls. And you don't have to be a millionaire to sell covered calls. Someone, I think, asked me about starting a portfolio, $1,500, I think, in on Monday, and I broke it down and I said, well, you know what? This is what you can look at. And I named, different companies, and I was like, this is the price points, these are the shares. You could easily start your portfolio owning 300-400 shares of different, small caps, and perhaps it covers a cash secure put on it right there. Right then and there, you have a diversified portfolio with $1,500. You don't have to be rich, man. You just have to take the approach of, I'm going to start now. And then every single time you can put a little more money into your account, do it. If you're in your 20s, oh my God, you have the world ahead of you. And instead of going out to the bar, or spending your money on unnecessary crap, that I know when I was young, I used to waste it in. Um, Dude, save that $100 that you're gonna use to go out in the bar and do dumb shit with. Um, be frugal, and put your money into your retirement account. That is now you're gonna be your portfolio, right? And then you see that as it gets bigger, you get happier, and you see where your money is going, and then you see that your peers are always complaining about not having money, and paying bills, and just always having to work and not seeing where their money's going. You literally can see where your money's going, and that right there gives you like this mental boost, and it makes you want to go to work. It makes you want to keep putting more money aside, for whatever it is that you want to use it later on in life. Could be a retirement account, could be uh, a portfolio that you're going to use whenever you buy your first house. You need a car for work, and you're like, I'm going to save for a car, and this is the way I'm going to do it. You can do it. You can totally do it. You for whatever reasons you decide, you get laid off or whatever, you can take that money and pay rent with that, and it alleviates a lot of stress from your everyday life, right? And this is how you start. You start, by doing it. You open up an account with, like, Webull or Robinhood, right? And you put in, $100 into it. You link it to your financial institution account, right? Whatever bank you're in, and then you take $100, $200, and you put it in there, right? You keep doing that. You do it every time you can. If you put a couple of $100 every month, and then you start buying companies that you have done your due diligence in and studied, and you're like, and even if you haven't studied, Google's not going anywhere, Amazon's not going anywhere, and I know these are expensive shares, but like, you could start with one share. You could buy small caps. Look at RXRX. Look at Lucid is $2 a share right now, right? Open Door is like $3 a share right now. um, SoFi is like $20 a share right now. You can start there, and then just keep adding. And then when you have 100, you talk to your brokerage and say, I'd like for you guys to open up level 2 so that I can sell some covered calls. And then they'll ask you what you know about it, and then you'll tell them, because you've been watching me, and because you're watching other YouTubers, and you have gone into seeing what is a covered call, what is a cash secure put, and then you'll see that this information you're gathering right now is going to make a difference later on. So anyhow, Pre-minted the options in the house, and CKT says gamble today on some Palantir 150 puts, sold for a healthy profit, and sold some SQQQ times 5 for profit, writing out 15 calls on SQQQ and some shares on the SOXS to see what happens on Friday. Fear is pain. Fear is always good. I like to watch the VIX, and I like to watch the greed index. I like to watch both of those, because then I'm able to see just and make an educated guess, right, of how things are going, and then it makes me kind of the more knowledge, the better, right? You can then say, you know what, I want to go in here with some covered calls, some cash secure puts. I see things are bearish, so I want to do some cash secure puts. I think it looks overly bullish. I'm gonna do some covered calls. That's pretty much it. Let's see here. Let me see if I can get to the the fear index. I want to show it to you guys. Yep, the VIX is up of 5.97, pretty much 6% today. That's the VIX. I like it, and I think it's probably going to hit, may hit 19 or 20 on Friday if things go as expected. Now let's go to the greed index. Here we go. All right. All right. I want to share this with you guys. Let me see if it shows. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to go and see if I can share with you guys this index. All right. Let me see here. And maybe you guys can have a look see at this too on your own, right? See if you guys can see it. Do you guys get a black screen, or do you guys can you guys see it? You know what? I think you guys see a dark screen, huh? Yep. You know, I don't know what I did to it. I don't know what I did on my account on the settings, but I should be able to. I've done nothing different than I did the other day, and I was able to share my screen. So I don't know why it's not sharing. So that's kind of puzzling. But either way, you guys can Google it, right? You guys can go to the greed index, um, and you guys will see like it's got this little needle, right? That it tells you when people are like not greedy and then very greedy. And right now it's at 56. Whenever the greed is like around 80 or more is when I sell a lot of covered calls, because it just tells me that they're gonna be so easy to fill. So I do a lot of stinkers, right? A lot of stink asks, and I'm able to bring in a lot of premium that way. Um, the visual arts will say me again. What's up, Famo? Oh, that's the visual arts was talking about starting with a $1,500 portfolio. That's right. So yeah, no, and it's possible. You definitely can start that way, man. It's just you can start with $100 really, but it's just what do you want to do, right? Um, it's just I know a lot of young kids they spend money on unnecessary things. They buy they start buying like ridiculous, like they go buy $100 bottle of champagne. They go to the strip club, they go to the club, and they start like um, buying drinks for like all these girls that they've never met, and they're just trying to show off. It's just so silly, but like you could save that money and you could invest it, and you set yourself up for like a nice retirement, and to live a more comfortable life, because then you'll be able to show you know um, something for what you spend your money on, and it's one of those things that you have to make a decision, and sometimes it's not the sexy thing to do, but it is definitely like the smart thing to do. All right, so um why do I think we have more room to the downside, right? Why do I have this position where I think my friend here is going to be rearing its nice little brown head out there and trying to take everyone's lunch? Well, I mean, just look at how many IPOs uh, are 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 happening in the last month, right? I mean, for crying out loud, we had one called Bullish. You know what I mean? It IPO'd last week, and I actually took a position on Bullish. Actually, let's see what Bullish is at today, and let's see here. Bullish is at $58 today, right? And I got $11 for a $65 cash secure put. What does that mean? That means that I on October 17th, if this stock bullish, is trading at $65 or less, I am going to be put those shares into my account, right? I'm going to receive 100 shares. And for my belief on this company, for me saying I am going to take $6,500 out of my hard-earned cash, and I'm going to buy these shares, and I'm putting it right here on my brokerage account. For me having that belief in me saying I believe in this company, right? I asked for $1,100. That's $11 per share, and someone gave it to me. Right now, that is worth $13. So I'm actually down $200, right? But at the end of the day, if I get put those shares, as long as we're trading between $54 and 65, I'm okay, because that $11 is what cushions the blow for me. Um, and since I was going to buy this stock anyways in the 50s, and if you watch me, you know that I've been talking about getting into it in the 50s. I'm exactly where I need to be at. And if it does go below, and let's say it does, because there's always a chance. And I said it the day that I sold this cash secure put. If it does happen to go, let's say to the 40s, 48, great. In that case, I made a decision, right, to buy the stock where it was at. And now I could make another decision and say, you know what? I'm going to sell a $45 cash secure put out to January. And I want $10 for it. So I sell a $45 cash secure put. I asked for $10. What did that mean? That means that my overall cost basis for those shares, if I put those shares in January, as long as bullish trades between $45 and $35, I'm good. So my overall cost would be $35. So then my cost is going to be $54, which is really, was the 65 cash secure put, but really 54, because that's going to be my cost average, right? My break-even point, and 35. And those are going to meet. And that's going to be my average for those 200 shares, right? And then I can make a decision. And I can wait for it to run a little bit, and then I can sell some covered calls on those 200 shares, bring in more money. Or if it goes down even more, let's say it goes down to 30, I can sell some 30s in the money, and I can ask for $500. And I'll do two of those, which is I'm bringing in $1,000, right? And I'm putting $6,000 away, so that if those 200 shares get put to me, then the average goes from what it was, which would be in the 40s, I think, down to the 25 land, and it's going to combine with that. So now my average is going to be like $35, $34, right? And that's how you do it. That's how you add shares when you do cash secure puts. And you're always looking to average down if you can. Worst case scenario. Best case scenario, this bullish trades at 65.50 or more, or 65.01 or more, October 17th. When it closes, guess what? They're going to return my $6,500. And I just made $1,100 out of thin air. Some could say thin air. Some could say, that's the risk that you take when you play in the stock market. You can call it wherever you want. I call it generating revenue, right? Andres de la Torre, Black. I know. Thank you, CKT. I saw it because I actually went on and I saw my monitor here. Those SQQQs are at 20. Yeah, the SQQQs are at 20. And I'm okay at that. I'm okay with that. Andres de la Torre saying, hi, all. Dude is saying, let's go take the money. The market is begging you. Yeah, man, those gamblers are begging people to take money from their hands. And I am okay with that. So just look at the IPOs, right? And look at the price that they're going public at. I mean, Figma went public, right? Circle went public, Bullish went public. Those are just three. Look at the valuations, right? Look at how high of a price they have. There's no reason why these should be over $100 a share. And some of them were going for like 170, 160. That's insane. Those should be more like 30, 40, 50 bucks, right? But some people out there in the world said, you know what, I am greedy and I want to hold these. I'm going to buy them and I'm going to hold them and I'm going to make a lot of money. And now they're seeing that their investment is down over 50% at this point. And those guys are hurting. Those are the same people that went on margin to buy these and right now are selling. And that is one of the reasons that the market is also selling off, because these guys are generating revenue so that they can cover if they shorted these um, if they shorted some of these. So I don't know, man. I honestly see a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of red today, but in the grand scheme of things, um, what what is going on? I keep telling you guys, in the grand scheme of things, right now, um, are we really that terrible? And I don't think we are. Right now, the S&P 500 is down 0.37%, right? So like one third of a point. The Dow 30 is basically unchanged. The Russell, which is taking the biggest hit, so to speak, right? No, actually, the Nasdaq has. It's down not even a point. It's like 90 basis points. So like the VIX is at 1644, which is great. When the VIX was at 14, I was buying some. So now I think it's going to go to 1920, but we will see. Uh, Viking Therapeutics took a huge hit yesterday. I think it was down something like 50% or 40%. Today it's up 7.8%. Go figure, right? Um, it's just Google unveils the new Pixel phones and upgraded AI. Um, I think everyone's waiting for Nvidia and for this for the Nvidia quarterly earnings and for this meeting at Jackson Hole, right? And everyone's just waiting. Um, you know, Figma is actually up today, 6-7%, and it was down to 67 this morning. Oh wow! Open is down 6%. Great for those of you guys that sold covered calls. On open, PROP is down. It was down 5% this morning. It's trying to recover, but it's still at 210. I took a position in there and I averaged down a bit. So like my average is down to 240 right now, but it's still 30 cents per share underwater. We'll see what happens there. Let's see here. Where is there opportunity today, my friends? Roblox is green again, which is good. BBAI is up 2%. Now, BBAI was down almost 5% this morning. So, I think I told you guys about some $6 or some $5 cash secure puts on a BBAI that is Big Bear AI. And, I think that $7 cash secure put for BBAI is giving you like 50% right now. And I think that's ridiculous. Somebody got 370 for those cash secure puts this morning. That is more than 50%. That's how you make money in this market. You think BBAI is going to be $7 January 2027? I don't think so. So if you have $700 and you want to make 50% or more back on it today, you really well could. You could go out to 2027 and tell the market, I believe in this company. I'm going to do a $7 cash secure put on it. I want 50% back today. So that's $350. If you do 10 of those, that's $7,000 you're putting away until 2027, right? Potentially. You don't have to wait till then. um, and you get back $3,500 today or more. What is wrong with that? Absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. You can basically wait for a recovery, which if we have uh, some rate cuts, it's going to happen. And once that happens, BBAI is going to go to $7, $8, $9, $10 a share. Once that happens, these are going to be worth like 50% less. So instead of 350, they're going to be like 175. You can very well buy them back then and say, you know what, I don't want to wait till 2027. It's January 2026, so 3-4 months have happened, and in 3-4 months you made over 50% back. You're not going to wait a whole year. You're like, you know what, I already made 50%. I'm good. You could buy those back for half of what they're worth or more, right? And you could exit your position. You could get your $700 back, and you look for opportunity elsewhere. But what bank is going to give you, you know, that type of return on your money that they're saving that you're saving in a checking account or a savings account? No bank is going to do that, right? Um, I think AI is out of control right now, and stocks are overowned. Um, we need to trim on those, right? That's another reason why I think I'm a little bearish. Cybersecurity is overowned as well. That sector needs to rotate, right? This Jackson Hole meeting is very crucial for us on Friday, and I honestly think that because of everything we're seeing now, right? Target is basically saying that people are not spending as much money, and Target is saying, Target is telling us we see people spending 10% less, 9 to 10% less in this year. So you could say, okay, that's only 9 to 10%, but when you take into account that Target brings in billions of dollars, 10%, 9% of that is a lot. So that's exactly what everyone else is seeing, right? And so an educated guess will tell you that there is some room to the downside. Is that right there what Jerome Powell is going to look at? He can look at PPI and say we are basically 90 basis points up on prices for producers, for wholesale producers. If you were to add these up in a year, you're talking about 11% on inflation up, for wholesale. And so that's a staggering number. So he could very well, just based on that, say, you know what, let's see what August numbers show us in September. He can do that and kick the can down the road, right? Or he can say, I don't feel we're comfortable cutting rates based on the fact that people have less spending money. He can say that. They can say, we're going to look at the data a little more. That's exactly what Jerome Powell says, and I think that's what he's going to say. And I think we're going to then, have a nice little retracement overall, and then people are going to start guessing, what's going to happen in September. And then, those numbers are going to get reworked. I think people were thinking that there was a 93 to 95% chance of rates being cut in September. Now those may drop to like 70%. So that is going to create uncertainty, right? The market doesn't like uncertainty. Rich people don't like you to mess with their money. They don't like uncertainty, right? So what's going to happen? Nice little sell-off, which is healthy. For the way things have been, it's absolutely healthy. I mean, if you look at real estate, right? Real estate is down right now. Interest rates are high, right? So right now is the time to get into real estate stocks, because I think that because interest rates are high, it's the time to start getting in. A lot of those tickers have been at 52-week lows. Once interest rates are cut, those are going to fly, because real estate being hot is what the economy is about, right? That affects everybody, really. Everyone's looking for a home. Everyone's looking to like maybe you know be able to afford a home, right? And the homes are just too expensive at this point. So um, and even if there's a home that you feel like I'm okay buying that house, that's selling for 350,000, $400,000, you're scared to take the plunge because interest rates are like 7-8%. That's a high interest rate. So you know I think when we refinanced the house, my wife got something ridiculously low for us, like around, I want to say like 2.1% or something ridiculously low like that. So I mean, you look at 8% and you look at 2%, and I assure you there's a world of difference between that. Some of you guys may have refinanced, and are sitting on some 2%, 3% refinance rates. That's insane. That is really, really low. And I think personally that, President Trump, that's what he wants. He wants rates to go back that low so that, he's a real estate guy. So, I mean, the writing's on the wall, guys. And right now, stocks that are at 52-week lows, your Open Door was at 50 cents. Open Door Technologies was at 50 cents a share, right? Rocket, right, was at RKT, I think it's a ticker. It was at like what, $11, $12 a share at some point. Right now, it's coming back a little bit because I think people are starting to see that there may be a light at the end of the tunnel for real estate. And I mean, there's other real estate related tickers that you could look at, and you could, Smart Rent, for example. And I know some of you guys are gonna be like, "What? Smart Rent is poo poo," but I think it's very, very low right now, and I think it's at an attractive price where you can actually take a plunge and say, you know what, I'm okay buying 100 shares of um of Smart Rent because um it's at 140 right now. Smart Rent is at 140. The 52-week low was 67 cents, and I was buying then. I was buying like in the 70s. And I'm just sitting on those on that stock right now. I'm doing nothing to it, because I honestly think that once the rates get cut, Smart Rent is going to go to like $3, $4, $5 a share. Now, is this going to happen for sure? No, not necessarily. But you always have to have a plan, right? Lucid is at $2 right now. Lucid, let me tell you, Lucid is just one or two news cycles away from being $5, $6, $7 a share. It's just a matter of time. Um, it all depends on what you want to do, right? What do you personally want to do? What's the type of market that you're trying to enter? This is why our due diligence is so important. This is why having the plan is so important. Um, and so um, yeah, man, it's all about just having a plan and then just saying, you know what, I'm going to take a plunge. Look at NVTS. NVTS is a 622 right now. 622. If you really are looking to get into like the AI, um, sector, you can do some $6 cash secure puts on NVTS. They signed a contract with Nvidia, man, and so October, $6 cash secure put right now, you can get 70 cents for it. So you're basically getting more than 10% by going for a $6 cash secure put that expires October 17th. Um, Now, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Do remember, we still have Thursday, we still have Friday. So a lot of people are saying, today's the day I go shopping and I'm gonna, buy everything I can. And I'm just basically saying tread lightly, because yes, there is opportunity out there, but like you're seeing, market's starting to recover, right? So tread lightly and see what tomorrow brings, right? Let the stock tell you what to do. Um, Friday, we still have this meeting on Friday. Is going to happen. Let's see what let's see what that day brings. If you see some stocks pop 5-10%, write some covered calls. Nothing wrong with taking a big chunk, right? Um, you see some stock that's going down, 15-20% in a day on some bad news. As long as it's not insider trading or it going bankrupt or filing Chapter 11, if it's a stock you've been looking at, sell one cash secure put. But I'm very curious to see what happens on Friday. Anyways, knuckleheads, thank you for watching, man. I'm gonna go and take some pills because I'm starting to feel a little pull on my back. For you guys that don't know, I hurt myself at work, and so I'm trying to take it easy at this point. I want to do some stretches, and I'm gonna take some pills, and then probably gonna go and see if I can take a nap. Because again, it was a little hard to sleep yesterday. It was better than the night before for sure, but it was still a little hard to sleep yesterday. Let's see what this market brings us, guys. Don't shoot your load just yet. Don't spend all your money on tickers today, and definitely look for opportunities though. Let's see what tomorrow brings. I'll be on tomorrow at 8:30 a.m. again, so that I can walk you off the ledge if we have another down day, and it's to be expected. Overall bearish, right, right there. And that's where we're at. It's all right. A nice down day is healthy for the market. Again, you guys just saw the numbers, right? The Nasdaq is down like not even 1%. The Dow is down not even 1%. The VIX is up slightly. S&P not even down 1%. I mean, it's a nothing burger, guys. So just chill. Don't pay attention to all the hoopla you're hearing on these networks. Just look at the market, look at what the stocks are telling you, right? And yes, some stocks like Palantir took it on the chin today, right? But remember, the Savage was telling you to sell $200 covered calls on Palantir last week, and you didn't listen. You didn't listen. And now you're holding the bag, right? Now, if you bought the stock at $20, $10, you still can make money. You still can sell Palantir covered calls. It's 153 right now. Do you honestly think you're going to 200 in the next month? I don't think so, right? What can you do? You can sell a covered call, my friend. Sell a covered call. Sell a 150. Sell a $150 covered call right now, and you get $25.45. You're bringing in $2,500 right off the bat, $2,550 right this second. Right now, you could get paid for holding Palantir. Essentially, you're selling it for 175, but guess what? You didn't sell it at 200, and I don't think you're going to, at least not this year. And so, are you going to keep holding it, or are you going to put that money to work? Because let me tell you, $2,500, you can pay your rent or your mortgage with that money. You can buy 100 shares of SoFi and 400 shares of Smart Rent with that. You can, with $2,550, you can buy 100 shares of FFAI, 100 shares of THM, 100 shares of Rigetti, 100 shares of Lucid, and 100 shares of Ioba or Prop. What? With $2,500, you can add all that to your portfolio and increase, your overall size of your portfolio. That's how you do it. That's how I do it. I take big chunks and then I go shopping, because today's a day to shop, right? But you're not over leveraging yourself. What you're doing is you're essentially just taking, free money that you got from Palantir to sell it at 150 in January, but you're putting that money to work now. Because let's say we recover, right? Let's say for whatever reasons, the market goes up another 10% from now until January. Those stocks are going to recover. And yes, you lost, Palantir, right? But you're going to get $15,000 in January. However, these other, 4, 5, 600 shares of different companies you just bought, they're going to go up in value, right? So you just made all that money right there. And now essentially that's way more upside than Palantir, because Palantir, I mean, how much more can it fly, right? Now you think it's $1,000 stock though? It's already overvalued. It's already trading, way ahead of where it's supposed to. Even where it's at right now, it's way too high. Um, the other companies I just talked to you about are not. They're trading, they're undervalued, if anything. So those have way more potential to go up as a whole than just your 100 shares of Palantir, and that's how you got to view things, right? Um, so don't get caught with your pants down. And I mean, even on a down day, yeah, I know you're not supposed to write, on a red day. Of course, I know that, right? But it's already recovering, Palantir is. However, is it going to go back to 175 by Friday? That's what you got to ask yourself. And in order for it to go to 175, 180, how long are you going to wait? Or you could take advantage of the fact that it's there right now, and you could, because what if it goes down to 125? Just like it could go back to 175, it can go down to 125, 120, 115. And then what? And then you're going to be angry because you're holding the bag and you should have sold at 150, but you didn't. But you definitely can sell a covered call. And guess what? If it happens to go down to 125 by January 2026, you get your stock back. You get your stock back, and you can sell more 150s out to June and bring in more money. That's how you play this game, my friends. Cannon Fodder is in the house saying, my Rocket Lab sold puts are all underwater, and it's okay, my friend. It is all good. Let them be underwater. Time is your friend. Let time decay. Let those calls shrink in value. And then when you're closer to the expiry date, you can make a decision. You can either roll or get taken out. It's all up to you. Cannon Fodder is saying thanks. Savage, the Visual Arts is saying thanks for the game. And you're welcome. Ricardo Canales is saying savage. Moneymaker Juan is in the house saying checking in. So, guys, like I said, there's opportunity out there. You just have to take advantage of it. And let's see what the market tells us tomorrow. You know what I mean? Kent's mom is saying thank you, Kent's mom, for always being there. And that's what I have for you guys today. I mean, I could honestly talk ad nauseum about like the market itself, but my back is starting to sting a bit, so I got to take some medication, and I got to go eat something. I haven't had breakfast, so I'm the Savage of Wall Street. Knuckleheads, thank you for watching. To all of you, my fellow simpletons, degenerates, scallywags, and ne'er-do-wells, I will see you guys tomorrow on the same bat channel at the same bat time. Until then, I wish you guys the best. Thread lightly. Take an opportunity that the market is giving you. And until tomorrow, I say adios, amigos. Have a great day. Peace. Yeah, buddy.